28th, 2024. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
William Dietzick. James Morelli.
Here.
Toni Morrison.
Here.
Christopher Palmieri.
Here.
Jack Perry.
Here.
Jennifer Klock.
Here.
Michael Del Santo.
Present.
Valerie DiPaolo. Here. Paul Chaplinsky.
Here, if everybody can please stand for the prayer and the flag salute.
Heavenly Father, give us the ability this night to see past what is first apparent and into the very heart of issues that are presented. Keep us open and willing to hear the concerns of the people of this community, and give us the courage to act upon those things which are best for Southington. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to move on to item number 2, approval of our meeting minutes from Tuesday, October 15th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any discussions on the meeting minutes? Okay, hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none. The motion passes 8-0.
One abstention.
One abstention, Mr. Morrison, so 7-0-1. And I did hear from Councilman Dietzick. He's feeling a little under the weather, so he is not going to make tonight's meeting as indicated by the roll call earlier. Okay, item 3, councilperson communications.
Mr. Chair, I've got
Yes.
something. I was able to attend the Red Ribbon Rally last Monday evening, along with Councilman Palmieri and the Chair and Ms. Klock and Mr. Morelli. Always a great event. Ms. Triano in the audience, and Mrs. Kenefick, who always do a wonderful job making sure our youth know the bad and the bad about drugs and alcohol and partying too much at such a young age. So it was a really good event. Every student that was there was very well behaved this year. Miss Victoria didn't have to ask too many times if they could hear her, so we had a good time. And Miss Triano is also getting really good with the technology. She's taking selfies up there. It was wonderful. So it was a great event, and I always look forward to it each year. Secondly, I saw some stuff on social media about the roads, and some people are not sure if they want to vote for the additional money that we're asking for roads. So I just hope that everyone really looks into the way we get our roads paved in town. Usually it's $10 million over 4 years. This year we're asking for an increase because, like everything else, there's been inflation, and we're hoping to get some additional roads done. So if anyone in the public has a question with regards to the roads, if they're unsure of what it's all about, please pick up the phone and call one of us, call the Public Works Department, call the town manager. Please don't vote for the road increase because you don't know how it works. I think it's just too important. We need to get our roads done, and if we don't get that money, I'm unsure how we're going to be able to continue over the next 4 years, because we do need some major repairs in some of the roads here in town. And that's it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Del Santo. Anybody else? Yes.
So just a quick reminder, the screening for Human Forever, the dementia positive Southington. So there was one today. I was not able to attend. It was at First Congregational Church, and I had heard that it went very well. There's a screening tomorrow, 4:30 to 6:30 at Livewell. So if anybody's able to attend. And I know, Mr. Chair, did you receive an invitation for the summit?
I did.
Okay,
Yes.
just want to make sure. They had reached out to me.
I'll be there.
And asked.
I think there's a nice core group of a bunch of community leaders that will be attending the forum.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good, yeah, I can't attend, so
Okay.
that's good.
Is that the one for Veterans Day?
We'll
No,
sit in
it's
for it. This is
Wednesday.
the
It's
dementia
coming
friendly.
Oh, okay, right.
It's during daytime.
Right.
So, and if I can, I just had one other thing. I just, with the with the mural being power washed, the MLK mural, I just wanted to just give some thoughts, if that's okay, if you'll indulge me.
Please.
It's just that it was, it was quite personal. It was quite personal for me, the mural. So I prepared a statement. Sometimes it's easier to read rather than talk a little bit. But, so I did want to say, last meeting we had people here to come and speak, and I did want to say that I did support the preservation of the mural wholeheartedly, and I'm sorry that I didn't make that clear at the last meeting as others stood up to speak. I simply believed it was our residents' time to speak to us and for us to listen. I did not know that the mural would be power washed last Monday, as I'm sure many people were not aware. I was there to watch, and I was heartbroken. I had participated in painting the mural, and I was in awe of what a beautiful piece of art that the artist, Amita Roller, produced. I was happy that I could contribute. The MLK mural was personal for me, and I was emotionally invested in it. Mary DeCrose, the late Mary DeCrose, was my cousin, and she had reached out to me in January of 2021 to ask my thoughts about the town getting behind the MLK project, which was in conjunction with the Rise Up Organization for the Arts. I thought it was a great idea, and Mary started moving forward. She spoke to the council on 2 or 3 occasions, and I continued to keep the council updated on the progress of the mural right up to the date of the unveiling. Both Mary and I saw the mural as a piece of art that would be unifying, inclusive, joyful, and portray something that would make all residents feel that they belonged in our community, all values that Martin Luther King Jr. stood for. So I also want to make it clear that I understand the mural was on private property and that property owners have a right to make decisions without interference from government, and I believe that. However, I also believe that the town was invested in this mural, even though it was not on town-owned property. It was a statewide project, and we were one of 19 MLK murals across the state that honored Dr. King's legacy. And that brought a lot of attention to Southington, because that now became a piece of our history, that we had this mural in town. And as many of the speakers at our last meeting pointed out, it was a source of pride and importance because it reflected the unity and inclusion for our community. So I started to think about the impact that this mural being removed, that the impact has on our community. And I think that it continues to have on the community. Residents have reached out to me by email, text, and in person. We've all seen social media posts about how people are feeling about this. I think there's a lot of sadness, a lot of grief and anger and loss. And I think it has been and it will continue to be harmful to the well-being of our community. So in looking at the impact, I thought about a couple of examples over the last, my time on the council, where the impact of something seemed very large, and we as a council took action. One was just recently with the ReWorld plant in Bristol, and their application to the state to collect and burn biomedical waste. This was and is viewed as a potential public health and safety concern to some of our residents. We engaged in dialogue with each other, with staff, with experts, and we approved a resolution to DEEP and to DPH, stressing that we, on behalf of our town, were against the application for the permit. The second example that I thought about is the Southington Country Club property and the development rights. There were private owners of that property. They moved forward with a subdivision plan, which they had the right to do, and we, I think as a council, saw the negative impact that that could have on our town's infrastructure and the schools, and we thought that that was a large impact. And so we did something about it. We took some action. Now, I know that some might argue that the situation with the MLK mural is not the same, but I feel like I have to disagree with that. I think the ongoing negative impact of the mural being removed is one of psychological and emotional well-being, and that can have long-lasting effects. And I don't know what the answer is at this point, But I do know that if we as a council do not do anything, I feel that we're sending a disturbing message to our residents. So I'm just asking the council if we think that we should try to engage with stakeholders, with the community, with each other, and collectively see if we can find a path forward. And I feel like we owe that at this point to the community. So thank you for
Thank you,
indulging me,
Val.
Mr. Chair.
Anybody else? Chris?
I've got a couple things. First of all, I had the pleasure of attending the Bread for Life annual soup night, which was October 16th. Paul, I know you were there as well. And this was an anniversary year for Bread for Life, so I'd like to thank the community that came out to support Bread for Life. It was a great showing, and really thank Bread for Life for all the work they do in helping our community. So that was the first one. Mike, you mentioned about the roads referendum. I was going to mention that too. I know there is a document that's available to the public, and in fact, when you do a Google search, you can find it. But going on our website directly, it's very difficult to find. It's odd. I can go in the exact same department as the Google search, and it doesn't appear there. So I'm wondering if it could really go right on the home page, maybe right with the early voting. There should be any link to all those documents right there so that people can find it easily and not search for it. It isn't in the registrar's section of the website either. Again, I would think if I was going to look somewhere, it would be there.
Referendum question.
And it's not directly in the Highway and Parks Department section of the website either. But when you do a Google search, you can find it there. I can show you. It's odd. But I'm hoping we can make that a little bit more public in the last push with a week and a day to go before we're asking our residents to vote on that.
We absolutely can, and I just pulled it up, you are correct. I think the mobile edition and the desktop edition are showing it differently. The desktop edition does pull up on Highway Parks. The mobile edition, the version of the page, I'm not seeing it on the homepage, so
Yeah.
we'll try to tweak it tomorrow morning so it's more prominently.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, and I put
Thanks
it
for
right in
bringing
the,
that up.
right in the front. Also, I actually took advantage of early voting, so I want to just give a shout out to the registrar's department, town clerk department, everyone that really played a hand in that. It really is easy and convenient for residents. The one thing I'm wondering, I know it's not you, but I'm hoping you can maybe help. The parking I've heard from a couple residents that are not as mobile, and I've heard great things like people even offering to go out to the vehicle for them, but it's very difficult where it is and coming down Academy and down that ramp and into the building for people that are maybe in a wheelchair or a walker. So I don't know if there's any way we could do a little bit more for parking.
Especially for those who have special
Yeah.
needs. Alex, maybe we can ask the chief to look into that. Maybe there's some temporary parking we can offer for especially more handicap spots on Long Main Street.
So I'll see if he can do temporary handicap spots,
That
because
might
we
be
do
good.
have it set up at the handicap entrance, so it's accessible for all.
I know, and the ramp is right there, absolutely.
Maybe
yeah.
some-
And those spots are filled up all day because it's so busy, but I'll see if I don't know what the traffic ordinance is at that level.
Yeah.
But I'll ask the chief if there's something he could do for handicap on Academy, or the
Yeah.
first couple spots.
There is one on Academy, I think it says reserve.
Bottom.
It's only one or
Yeah,
two, though.
elderly. Oh, it says
I took
elderly.
my mom and dad yesterday, and my dad's in a wheelchair.
And it's sloped.
It's tough. And I said, oh, wow. And there's a spot where you can go, there's a couple of ramps. So I just backed my car up to where the ramps are so he doesn't have to step up onto the sidewalk. But you're right. And even going down into the town hall, it's sloped.
I know you'd have to go all the
And
way
I'll-
around, but-
I'll say the same thing. Everyone there was fantastic. You know, my dad really has a rough time. He's lost his memory. But everyone was very, very helpful. They were very kind and very nice. Everyone working, so I gave them all,
Absolutely. But, you know, I
great
just think
compliments
those little
yesterday.
things would
Good
make,
point.
make a big difference.
Maybe even the municipal lot between Soka and Town Hall, we could add a few extra handicap spots there temporarily, some signage, just for this time period. Okay, good suggestions. Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome. Couple more quick things. Calendar House, if you remember, I had mentioned, I spoke to Mr. LaPre, and Dave and Dawn do a good job, really, of organizing everything for the lunch program at the Calendar House. Friday alone, there was over 40 people there, which is great. If you remember, it was originally at one point capped at 20, I believe, and so I reached out again to say, now that we're coming to the end of October, what's the plan moving forward? So they are going to try to keep that open. But again, Dave and Dawn have a good handle on what's happening there, and hopefully it's something that our senior population can continue to benefit from with the lunch program there. So that should continue into November. And the last thing is a resident reached out, so Mike, I'll maybe ask you to bring it back to Public Works. If there's any way for the transfer station to be open, kind of like we do with leaf season, maybe one afternoon, once a month, like on a Friday or something, to ease some of the traffic on a Saturday, because it is easier. The highway department's right there. So maybe just with a regular, even if it's like 2 to 4, I don't know if that's something maybe we can.
We usually do that yearly, and it's funny you say that.
Not for the leave, but I mean just generally once a month for.
Oh, just for the
general
transfer
people.
station?
Yes.
That's been discussed before, and
Yeah.
it was always brought to our attention that they need a minimum amount of employees there to open, and that may pull from their regular workload. I
Okay.
can certainly address it. We can put it on our agenda for the
That's
next
why I
Public
thought
Works.
maybe 2 hours,
Right.
again,
I always said it
couple
should be
residents,
open more than just Saturdays,
Yeah.
but I always got shot down.
But
but-
just, like I said, I thought through you.
We'll put it on the agenda. Yep.
Right, great.
We'll put a
All right,
reminder right now.
thank you.
Anybody else?
Going
Good. Okay. I'm going to just make a statement as well. Val, I'd like to add on to a little bit of what you talked about regarding the mural. And I would like to, I echo your sentiment that I think that there's some people in the community who are disappointed. And I definitely understand and see the disappointment. And, I know that always with situations like this, there's going to be, a couple different perspectives here. I would like to say that the ReWorld topic was brought up. That is a public hearing, a state public hearing that all the public is willing and able to comment on. So as a government, I would say that it's appropriate for local municipalities and residents to comment about the merits of whether that application is appropriate or not appropriate. It is a public hearing. The Southington Country Club, we had, a willing ownership that was willing and engaged with the town of Southington. So I do agree with you that, that those, while those may be examples, I would say that they are significantly different examples, given the circumstances that were there, in addition to the fact that we had the town attorney at the last meeting explaining to us that, the town council in this specific case really had no jurisdiction in the matter. And while I appreciate and I definitely understand the disappointment, from some people with the property owner's decision, I would like to point out that many of the people that were involved in some of the dialogue that was going on in the public domain, many of the people are people in the community who work on initiatives in our community. We work together on initiatives in the community. And, I think it's important that when we work on initiatives together and then there's disagreements, when those disagreements occur, it's essential to not let those disagreements erode relationships or the community spirit. And I would say that I observed the opposite of that. Civil discourse and constructive dialogue are ultimately key to finding mutually beneficial solutions like you were talking about, Val. Is there a way to find a different solution? And my understanding was that there were solutions that were offered. I know that I've seen people had raised their hand and said, hey, I'd be willing to have and host this mural even on the property. So those are things that I think could be looked at in the future. But as I mentioned, civil discourse and constructive dialogue are key to finding mutually beneficial solutions without severing ties or burning bridges. This collaborative approach allows us to continue to working together after the fact. When we do find that we haven't reached an agreement, it allows us to work together towards the progress we all want for our community and not burning the bridges by the things that we say and the things that we do. Unfortunately, we've all witnessed many hurtful comments directed at the Serafino family recently. I'd like to say that the Serafino family is a multi-generational family in our community that has contributed significantly to our town over the past century. They've supported countless charitable causes and initiatives in kind and various generous ways. They've brought people together through their caring ways, including commissioning of a diversity mural or a diverse mural on High Street. That was, you were talking about, Val, the MLK mural. For many decades, they also cared for our community through the operation of their pharmacy and coffee shop and the soda fountain that was there. Many of us visited that, and we had fond memories of being there as a community, and they welcomed everybody. Everybody. They engaged with residents, including those in need when we all felt our worst and needed their help. I grew up going to the Serafino pharmacy, not only because they were a great family and a great pharmacy, but because they genuinely cared about everybody in the town of Southington. As a child, I remembered my mother even being sick a handful of times and not being able to go to the pharmacy when we didn't have 5 pharmacies in town to rely on. It was only 2, one on each end of town, if everybody remembers. The Serafinos made arrangements to have medicine delivered directly to my house, or they brought it to the parking lot when social distancing wasn't even a thing. They would go outside and bring it to my mother or my father. As an adult, I remember countless discussions with Ron and Nancy as I went into the pharmacy, some later in life, when Ron kindly would ask me about town stuff or challenge me on policies and decisions I made or was considering making. We always had respectful conversations regardless of our positions. I remember their dedication to another diverse mural that they commissioned several years ago, maybe 15 years ago or so. I think we were on planning and zoning at the time, Mike. That mural is on the same building, parallel to High Street, and in between that building and the Liberty Bank building. I remember how proud the Serafino family was about that mural. And I remember when they built the Liberty Bank building, and I was on planning and zoning, I remember the pride that they had in ensuring that that mural that represented a lot of things in the community was preserved. And they built the building away from the existing building. They made an alleyway for people to observe it, and even put lighting on it so that it could be observed at night. The Serafino family has been a positive force in our town, and I extend my heartfelt appreciation and support to them. This council respects their choices the private property owners get to make regarding their property, and we will continue to support them and advocate for a community rooted in respect and collaboration and the values that keep us moving forward as a community, as a Southington progress, Southington Town of Progress. So with that, I will close public communications and move on to report of special committees. Item A, self-insurance. Tony.
Yeah. 3 things, Mr. Chairman. First thing is we made a decision on the split of the health insurance costs between the Board of Ed and the rest of the town. We set the split at 74%, 26%, 74 the Board of Ed, 26 the rest of the town, and that was mostly due to the number of employees metric. And by the way, that's the same as the budget for this year. Second, we will be determining the cost of the insurance that will go into the budget at our next meeting on December 4th. We set this date to give us as much time as possible to review how this year is progressing according to how much we're paying for claims, so we can get the most up-to-date information to use it for our calculation. And finally, the third thing is what we talked about another meeting ago, which was about the fact that 37 of residents on our insurance plans are what's called heart and hypertension. And these 37, the plan that they were using, which we are contractually obliged to support, was cut off by Anthem as for this year. So we asked our consultant to look around for other Medicare supplement plans that will deal with this issue, and they came up with one that's operated by a consortium called Benistar, and the Hartford is the insurance carrier for it. It's essentially a Medicare Plan F, which any of you are familiar with, which has a prescription rider. Now, they checked the plan that we have now, sorry, there are two plans because there's two sets of people, with this new plan, and essentially it's pretty much, it's very close. The differences are, there's certain payment differences, but in terms of costs, we think it'll save 170 grand a year for the town of Southington. So it's a little bit cheaper, as well as providing exactly the same capabilities to our 37 people on these plans. That needs to be signed by October 20th, which is, sorry, October 30th, I believe. Which, so we made a recommendation to bring that to town council. It has to be approved by the council, and it has to be signed by the town manager. That's it.
Excellent. Any questions for Tony on that? Mr. Town Manager, do you need to say anything more about that specific topic? Because I know we have that for action later.
The only thing I will say is I've gotten a lot of questions from folks. Why didn't we do this prior? It's almost half the cost, and it's the same coverage for the folks that we're covering. And the answer is we are contractually obligated to provide Anthem coverage, that brand name. Now that it's an impossibility, we no longer can uphold our end of the contract. There's just no way to do it. We were able to shop around and find a comparable plan at the best possible cost for the town.
Excellent. Yes,
So
Val.
just a quick question, Alex. So each year then, now that we're not contractually obligated to this new company, right? So each year it could get shopped around?
Each year, we will be shopping it around. In the event Anthem comes back and reopens it, which I spoke to Anthem directly, and
Yeah.
they assured me they will not be.
They're not going to?
But yeah, as long as they don't offer it, we can shop every year.
Okay.
Wonderful. Any other questions on that? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to item 5. That, by the way, item 1 under self-insurance is up for action, so we'll take that up in old business. Item 5, Town Manager's Report on Communication.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first thing I have is a positive news. The Planning and Zoning Commission, at their last meeting, provided a positive recommendation on the purchase of 22 Main Street and their associated parcels. Really, the only action for the town council at this point is to accept the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission. It was a unanimous approval. A lot of good discussion there, and almost every person said something on that commission. They're very supportive of the purchase.
Any questions on that? Was the full Planning and Zoning Commission in attendance at that?
They seated the full commission.
Okay, okay. Excellent. Item B?
If you mind, I'm going to skip to C so the B can have a little bit more time.
Okay.
Just really quickly, just want to update everybody that our payroll clerk is retiring in a few months, and we're taking this opportunity to reassess and realign in how we're doing our payroll. Right now, we're using paper timesheets on 90% of our employees, and even those folks that we've implemented the electronic timekeeping for, we're still kicking out an Excel file and typing it in by hand into the payroll system. So the finance folks, the IT folks, and myself and the HR folks have been meeting with payroll vendors. We're also re-meeting with our Munis vendor. We're going to be determining what is the best way to make this an easier process for the town, make it easier for the employees so their checks aren't wrong with coding the right. We have, the police and fire and the highway parks have dozens upon dozens of, if they work 1 hour here, they're paid doubles. There's 100 different pay codes. So we've got to really make sure we're doing it correctly. We're not screwing up on the employee side, and we're getting the best possible result for the taxpayer. So I expect within the next few meetings, a proposal will come through the council to approve a contract for a vendor. But more to come on that. If anybody has any specific questions, I'm happy to take them. Probably more productive offline, because it's a lot of detailed things. But if anybody's any concerns now, happy to address them now. But if you want to speak in greater detail, I'm happy to do so too.
Questions on item C, payroll vendors? No?
All right.
I have one question.
Yes.
Do you foresee the potential that there may be some efficiency gain here?
I foresee.
You don't need to commit what that is.
Tremendous amount of efficiency.
All right. Because I know you're really diligent about looking for efficiency gains.
Those poor pencil sharpeners
I know.
are not going to be used.
Okay, so
Anymore.
Yeah. and
keep us
it-
posted on how that looks as we progress,
It's an
because,
efficiency, and it's also, it's gonna be a better result for the employees. It's easier for them. We've got several employees in every department that they spend days upon days calculating payroll. And while we're hammering it in a little bit here and there, we're really trying to make this seamless. The employee comes in, they clock in, and there's nothing else to do.
and I know you didn't mention it, or if you did, I'd like to re-highlight it, but this was one of the items as an outcome of the technology subcommittee, Jen and the others who were on the committee. So, this is just one initiative. We know that there's 3 or 4 that are kind of ongoing right now, and that's really exciting. Thank you and the town staff for the willingness to work on these and get these implemented, and hopefully life after some of these are implemented becomes better for them as well.
Should be.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, just
Yes.
real quick, it has to happen. It has to. I remember, it reminds me of a story. I work for the courts, and every other week was timesheets. And my secretary, my intake assistant, you couldn't talk to her on attendance day. You couldn't talk to her, no one could
Focus.
bother her. She had and pencils, and so it has to happen. And now it's much more efficient, and it's all computerized, and it calculates everything for you.
And if our employee can't take a vacation, take time off every other
Right.
week, because that payroll week, she needs to spend 2 full days nonstop in her Excel spreadsheet updating. It's too much.
So glad the technology subcommittee is helping in on this, so thank you. Okay, back to item B.
Item B, I'm going to invite 2 of our library
Exciting.
fundraising committee members.
Some good news, I hear.
Mary Baker and Mrs. Tina Riccio for a presentation on the successful naming initiative.
Oh, yes.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for having us. Hi, Mary
Just-
Baker, 50 Burning Tree Drive.
Tina Riccio, 124 Andrew Street.
So Tina is the chair of the board. I'm a member of the library board and a member of the building committee. So we're really thrilled to be here tonight. Thrilled with the progress of the new building, very excited for the opening coming in December. And we're very pleased with the work of the library board and committee to have been able to raise the funds that we were promising the town for that library project. So the capital campaign had promised $700,000 toward the project, in addition to obviously the referendum from the residents and the grant from the state. And so that was for furniture or fixtures. We've presented the town to date a check for about $580,000, I think. So again, yeah, we met the goal. So we do have in the next year or two another $100,000 of pledges coming. But wanted to offer, our really sincere thanks to the help of the Community Foundation of Greater New Britain. That's David, Kayla, Ronnie, and their team. They have generously donated to the town, and they've also managed the grant for us. So all of the residents' applications to name opportunities or donate bricks were all managed by that foundation. In addition, we have the Main Street Community Foundation in Bristol that had another generous donation amount. We have 7 families that are named before you, in addition to those 2 that really took it to heart. A lot of these donations were very personal. Those families, in addition to all the several donors that we've had through the brick campaign, there's over 100 bricks that have been sold to date. And a lot of those donations were just not for bricks, they were for amounts in addition to bricks too. So all those families really heard the need, they saw the opportunity and the benefit for the entire town, and they gave towards this project. And it's really because of them, the residents and all these people that are named before you tonight, that we were able to accomplish this. So, can it be happier? What else can we say? Oh, we did have, in addition to those, an anonymous donor who named the local history room in honor of all veterans. So I thought that was very special. We'll be recognizing that with a plaque for that room. And again, we will see some more funds to come. We're still taking donations. And I think people will be excited when they see the building and are able to tour it and see that what has been named. Maybe that will spark some other interest. We're definitely able to submit.
Yeah, so all these names have been vetted by the board, and we're submitting them to you so you can vote on them, approve them, and we can then do the naming ceremonies once the library opens, which is on time, thanks to Mary and the committee.
Committee, yeah, thank you.
So, yeah.
Any questions?
Any questions for Mary or Tina? Do we expect a second round, more names to come
We
in
would
the
love
months
that.
ahead?
I mean, the capital campaign is pretty much over. We're in the public phase of it, and we're selling the bricks. But yeah, if we got another donation, we're certainly not going to turn it down. We aren't actively going out and recruiting or asking
Okay.
people, but if we did, we would accept it and we would bring it before you.
Okay.
So the names that aren't
Please.
before you, or excuse me, are the, for benches, so any of the outdoor appurtenances, we have some naming opportunities there that will be seen in the spring, but we did not include those on the list because we were told this was just specifically for the building.
Okay.
So there'll be, there were some donations that were in excess of the brick price that I have to contact a couple donors to see if they want to have a name, and so there could be a few more, yes.
So you're selling benches right now? Is that what you're,
The bricks mostly, a few benches left, yeah, bricks mostly.
cool.
So that's
We'll
what I was
sell
going to ask.
anything you want to buy. So you tell me what you want, and it is
Okay.
for sale.
Sounds good.
Fire hydrants.
So if someone does make like a more sizable donation, are there some naming opportunities?
There are still naming
some things left?
opportunities. Yes.
Yes, we can certainly send an email to all council, the email address you have, to
Just to
show
know,
you
like,
those.
just to
that
know
list.
what's left.
Yeah,
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So you'll circulate a list of things that might be remaining?
Yes.
Yes.
Vestibules, computers,
Elevator.
outlets.
The elevator.
We'll do it. Elevator.
Outdoor book drop, we're excited
Sure.
for, you don't have to get out your car to drop off
Anything.
your books.
Okay. Wonderful. So we have those as action under old business later on, if there's no other questions? Okay.
Thank
Thanks
you
for the
very much.
presentation.
Thank you.
Mr. Town Manager, is there anything else on yours?
Nothing on my end, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Just a quick rewind. I wanted to give a shout out to Service Master Restore opened. There was a chamber event, so congrats to Service Master on that. Halloween in the Village was a big success, I heard, and also thanks to Pastor Jim Townsley, who had some of us for the God and Country event at the First Baptist Church. So it's always a great event each year. So thank you to Pastor Jim Townsley. Okay. Moving on to the town attorney's report is our assistant town attorney, Mr. Attorney Scott Matney.
Yes, and I'll just make a slight correction, since I'm a member there. It's Central Baptist Church. where
Central
Pastor
Baptist, that's right.
But we had a
First
great-
Baptist is up the road.
Yes, we had a great service with all of you, and that was great.
Thank you.
And Lou's out of town and made it very easy for me. There's nothing to report.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good to have you.
Good to be here.
Okay. Central Baptist, not First Baptist. My apologies, Pastor. Okay, we will now move into public communications. And anybody who would like to speak can come on up and speak for up to 5 minutes. I feel it's my duty to say that if anybody comes up, that we won't do it a second time. So if you have something, please come up and speak now. No? Going once? Twice? Okay.
Speed it up.
This is Madam Chair, former Chairwoman Victoria Triana.
Good evening, everybody. It's interesting, Val, that you started off with that, and Mr. Chairman, that you spoke further, but that's one of the reasons why I was coming tonight. Last meeting, I left the chambers heartbroken because of the vitriol, the hatred, the accusations that were going on. And I was literally heartbroken thinking that we would be so cruel to one another to listen to some of the testimony that was going on during public communication. It broke my heart. The next day, I received a text from someone who was also here that night, and she questioned me about something I had posted about that the owner of the building had made attempts to try to work with this group, but it didn't pan out, and then it got very difficult. It got very hostile, and so nothing happened. And I was still feeling so bad about the meeting. I responded to her and I said, I only know that the owner of the building did reach out to some folks. And some folks really tried to help, tried to bridge this that they could have bridged at that time. Don't forget, this started in August, not in October. It started in August. I want to thank Chris, and Chris didn't know anything about this, but Chris and I have served together for around 12 years or so anyway, Chris. And we don't always agree. But one thing I've learned about you is that you're a man of integrity, and that when someone needs help, you're going to reach out. And that's exactly what happened in this situation. But I also know that it was not received very well, and you stood alone. And so I tried to explain it to this person without divulging any private conversations or keeping things confidential for those people that confided in me. And so I did the best I could. And the next morning when I opened up Facebook, the person had posted on Facebook exactly the same lies and exactly the same misunderstandings to create even more havoc and chaos. I responded to her and said, I really don't know what else to do except to pray, because right now we as a community are in very dangerous water. And I did, and I've continued to pray. And then something happened. It was the next day or two. I began to notice that even as the vitriol was continuing on Facebook, Southington residents were rising up and doing exactly what you did, Mr. Chairman, tonight, was to say, this family's a good family. This person is a good person. This person not only tried to get help to sustain this or to at least somehow preserve it, that it could be placed somewhere else, not on his wall. He was very clear from August, but maybe somewhere there's a way of duplicating that. And people began all over Southington to stand up. You know, Edmund Burke once said, all it needs for evil to triumph is when good people do nothing. But that was not the case in Southington. Good people in Southington stood up and stood for the family and for the owner of the building and said, wait a minute, this is not fair. This is not good. This goes against what is righteous and good and just. And they began, and pretty soon a person might say something negative, but then there were 10, 15, 20 people responding, gathering together, say, this is Southington. We are a people who love one another, and the only way we're going to find peace in this town is by loving one another and by standing in righteousness and in justice. And so I definitely wanted to say thank you to Southington tonight. Because honestly, a few weeks ago, I didn't know what the next step was going to be. It has nothing to do, last meeting was heartbreaking. And now I stand before you and I say, Southington has rallied for goodness and mercy and kindness. And I pray to God we never let that happen again and allow people to become so vitriolic, so hateful, so demoralizing to individuals who are just doing what they feel led to do with their own property. I am so proud of this town. I'm proud that we stood. And we as a council never approved this mural. They came to us, Mary DeCroce came to us twice, at my invitation, by the way. And when I asked for a representation of the mural, it was dropped. No one ever gave me a representation of the mural, and we never voted on this mural. I want to be very clear that the town council never voted on this mural. I'm so proud of our town that they would stand in integrity and honor to support this family. When the family is such a humble family, they would never go against it and try to make themselves feel so powerful or what. They didn't do any of that. But the people rose and stood with this family, and I'm proud to be from Southington.
Thank you. Okay, last call. Okay, we will close public communications and move on to item number 8, old business. Letter A, action on approval of Benestar proposal for Medicare supplement plans.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion from Tony and a second from Chris to approve as presented earlier and in the packet. Any discussion?
Thank you very much to the Self-Insurance Committee for all of your hard work.
Yes.
But only because 6 years I've been on town council, I still don't understand it. So I thank you for dumbing it down. And Mr. Lombardi, if he's out there listening, he used to do this for us as well. So thank you very much. It's such a complicated dynamic. So thank you for looking out for the town of Southington and helping town staff as well. That's it.
Thank you to all who are on this. Anybody else? Okay, hearing none, why don't we call the roll, Madam Clerk, please?
Morelli,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Clock,
Yes.
Del Santo,
Yes.
DiPaolo,
Yes?
Chaplinsky.
Yes, the motion passes 8-0. Letter B, action on 8-24 referral from Planning and Zoning, purchase of 22 Main Street.
Motion to approve?
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the referral from Planning and Zoning. Any questions? Discussion?
No questions, just a comment. I really feel like we made the right move here. I was very nervous if we didn't get this property. Many apple harvest, music on the green. I was very nervous. So I think we made the right move here, and I look forward to having this property become ours. And I look forward to see what that building and the parking lot will eventually bring for all of us.
Okay, any other discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm going to be abstaining again.
Sounds good, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Morelli,
Yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Palmieri,
No.
Clock,
Yes.
Del Santo,
Yes.
DiPaolo,
Yes?
Chaplinsky.
Yes, the motion passes 6-0-1. If I got that correct?
6-1-1.
6-1-0, sorry.
6-1-1.
No, 6-1-1, yeah, 6-1-1. Thanks for the math.
Did you go to school?
I'll tell you, it's a tough, I think I just talked about.
I know he
civil
graduated, not with
discourse.
honors.
I just talked about civil discourse, and here you are. Okay, old business action C, action on the library capital campaign names, and to the town manager, or maybe to the town attorney, do we need to take these individually? Or can we take them as a whole?
It is your preference, Mr. Chairman. I know that there's two folks on the dais who may wish to have them taken individually, but I'll leave that up to, there's no.
Why don't we do them
rhyme or reason.
individually?
Yeah.
Is there,
I'm fine.
no
if you don't
issues?
wanna
Jack,
take
you
them.
okay?
I'm fine with doing it as a whole.
Okay. So I'm going to read the names, just for the record, if it's okay. We have 8 names for us that have been passed to us by the library director, Mr. Thomas Piezo, in a memo dated Wednesday, October 16th, 2024, sent to the town manager. And the vote from the board was to have 8 naming opportunities in this order. Number 1, Community Foundation of Greater New Britain. Number 2, Main Street Community Foundation. Number 3, the Mead family. Number 4, the family of Barbara Kennedy. Number 5, the Perry family. Number 6, the families of Ralph and Ruth Riccio and Michael and Tina Riccio. Number 7, the DiPaolo family foundation. And number 8, the Lovely family. And thanks so much to everybody who put these forward. I know we have 2 family members here. It's really nice of your foundations and your families, and we have families here in the audience as well, the Riccios and all the others. It's really wonderful to see so many great names in our community come together to support this cause. So thank you. So with that,
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
we have a motion to approve.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'm going to be
Please.
abstaining.
You're going to abstain. Okay. You're going to
I'm
abstain?
going to wait till
Okay.
the clock, right?
Sounds good.
Paul,
Maybe
need
you
a
can help me
calculator?
tally it up then,
You need a
Mike.
calculator? Take your shoes and socks off. On his toes.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to using the Chaplinsky urinal.
So we have a
Second
motion
floor.
and a second.
2 abstentions.
We have, well, yeah, why don't we, all in favor?
Aye.
Why don't we, let's call the roll. Let's call the roll to make sure we get it right.
Morelli,
Thank you very much to the donors, yes.
Morrison,
Yes.
Palmieri.
Yes.
Perry,
Abstaining.
Clock,
Yes.
Del Santo,
Yes.
DiPaolo,
Abstain?
Chaplinsky.
Yes, so I have 6-0 Mike, if that's okay.
Let me check my figures.
Okay, wonderful. So the motion passes 6-0, which I think we did need 6 votes for that, so we did get that. So thank you, everybody, for that. Item number 9, new business, A, tax refunds.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the tax refunds that are presented in our packets.
Thanks, Jack.
Second.
We have, second by Val. Any discussion?
I just noticed the list is significantly shorter
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, the motion passes 8-0. Appointments, we have one appointment for the Board of Assessment Appeals, 1 member, 4-year term, expiring October 2028. And for the record, this is replacing somebody who had stepped down, Jessica Rydell. So I'm looking for a motion to approve Mary Ann Stanley.
So moved.
We have a motion?
Second?
We have a second. Any discussion? For the record, Mary Ann's address is 2223 Meriden Waterbury Turnpike, P.O. Box 234, Marion, Connecticut 06444. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes 8-0. If there's nothing else, we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,